Hello everyone and welcome back. It's CR, and in this video, which is a live stream currently, it's going to be an open talk about survival and related topics. Now, I'm no expert in survival, but I am learning and experiencing / practicing more as I create a better future starting today. I'll probably be showing off a few kits, and let's roll in the opener. What's up, everybody? Live long and prosper. Hey, it's Nathaniel's Adventures. What's up, man? How's it going? Thanks for dropping by. Boy, it's cold out today. -20, which is about what 0 Fahrenheit or something like that. I got my nice wool hat on. Actually, Nathaniel, I actually saw you on another live stream, but I just took off. Like, I literally exited out of the tab already. So, and of course I had to do stuff and set up for this live stream. But yeah, I'm doing pretty good too, man. Always in creation mode. Yeah. Always. So anyone watching right now, I have the slow-mo on, which is going to be restricted to every 3 seconds for comments. So, if you want to write a bigger comment or a paragraph or whatever, feel free. Now, survival. When it comes down to it, the most important thing is don't die. I mean, plain and simple. But, obviously survival is never as simple as just that. And it's not as easy as it looks at times. Sometimes it's going to be hard. I have to work hard at it. It's not always going to be a walk in the park. Sometimes you just gotta, dig deep and be like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can make it through, I can get to the next, source of water, or, I can make it home, I can get home with my get home bag or something like that. Well, since I'm waiting for a few people to drop in here, I guess I'll show off a few kits, like I said in the description. I won't show this entirely because I'll probably be doing another video on it, but right here is my little pockets plier kit. I kind of made it as more of an exercise just to see what could I get inside. I don't have a heat method inside, but I do have a flame and spark method, tinder, and something to use to make tinder, which is actually a blade. stay tuned for later on. I'll be showing this version 2 of this. I've slightly modified it. If anyone wants to ask any questions, you know, or topics to talk about, feel free. You know, if I can't answer them, well, I can't answer them, but, you know, I'll try my best. Just give me a sec. Let me have some of my Timmy's coffee here. Alright, cool. Thanks, man. Yeah, let's see, what else? Someone was talking about fire. I've been creating more of these kind of hot candles. Like this one right here. Just some ranger bands around it so I can, you know, twist it off. And underneath I got some TP so I can use it as like kind of tinder if need be, or something to get a flame so my hot candle can start burning. Unfortunately, I have no idea how long they'll last for because I've only made a handful of this size, so well, let's just say I can burn it a few good times, that's for sure. And the amount of heat is really warm, especially during the winters here. Always very useful. Now I used to go for these kind of let me go get it here real quick. Now I used to use what they're called, these right here. Now this one's actually been burnt, but they're known as buddy burners. I used to use them, but one thing I found kind of annoying is that after, you know, the second or third time I burn it, you know, depending on the height of the buddy burner, sometimes I would find that it becomes harder to light just because the wax level's down lower, and, you know, I would need an actual fire starter to start it. These ones, you know, if I have an open flame, match, lighter, or whatever, I mean, I can get these to work all the time. Unlike this, which, you know, one of the last ones I made, I mean, like, oh. I seem to have a ballistic swing on the back, but whatever. Okay, buddy burn. What I found was, you know, even especially on like larger ones, I can't even light this anymore. Even with a fire starter, the fire starter would just burn at the top and go out. With this, I put a fire starter in, you know, I'm getting a big flame within a couple minutes. So I prefer hot candles over the kind of buddy burners that you can make from like cardboard or something like that. Let me put this away real quick here. Let's see what else here. Now, since I'm still talking about fire for the time being, right here when the spent lighter, so I made a kind of like a sparking type of device with it. There's a lot of things that can be worked or used as tinder with a dead lighter. You just have to process it fine enough so the sparks can catch it. So it's not just a cotton ball, for example. It's not the only thing that works. Or drywoods. Those work, but there's other things that can work. Now, I consider the sparks from like a lighter, maybe a flint and steel type of setup, where you're like, whoosh, 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 knocking a piece of high carbon steel with like a flint or something. I consider those kind of low or cooler sparks. They're not quite as hot as sparks that you would get from like a ferro rod, for example. Sparks from this is gonna be much hotter, more likely to ignite your tinder, just because, well, the sparks are much bigger. But what I found is, if the sparks are good enough, if a dead lighter is good enough to get it going or start that tinder, then a ferro rod should be a walk in the park with such hotter sparks. Yeah, I call them cold sparks too, or cool sparks. Like, I can like don't do this with air stuff, and but I can do something like this against my finger, and it's like I can feel a little bit of the heat, but it's like a very small spot that it's like hot. Let's see here. What else have I been working on, hey? Everyone always wants to know what I've been working on. I guess I'll show off this. Here's my little container of, well, this is cotton type of wick or twine. And basically on the inside, they're pretty much all wicks. So from candles that I broke in to make these hot candles, well, I saved the wicks so I can use them again. Well, use them to actually for wicks. Or, maybe if it's long enough, I can wrap it around like a lighter, for example, and have a flame extender. So, for example, let's see. Some of these are kind of short, so they won't work so well. Here's a good one right here. It's pretty long. Here's a lighter. So it would be something like this. Of course, you would probably want more than just that. Now, anyone watching right now live or after it's been processed, I have another video lined up about this, which will show a more of a, well, a different way of making a wick. What's up, Alex? Peace, live long and prosper. How's it going, man? Just give me a sec, I gotta put these wicks back in now. Yeah. Memo to self, don't put Ranger Band in with it too. Speak of Ranger bands, guess I'll. Here's a Ranger band right here, and this is basically bicycle inner tube that's been cut into little tubes like this, and you can kind of use them like rubber bands, and generally they last longer, more durable than traditional rubber bands. Yo, it's Johnny G Things Outdoors, man. What's up? Live long and prosper. Let me just catch up and see what you guys are up to, talking about. Alright, well, Alex mentioned something. I'm just gonna read it out, more or less, or paraphrase it. What would you suggest I first do if I'm in a situation where I had to jump out of a plane mid-flight into a forest, manage to survive with minimal injuries in, let's say, midwinter? You know what? In any situation, you need to stop, and I'm gonna use the stop acronym here, where you stop, like, or slow down, think, observe, take account everything, like things you might have on you, things next to you, or things maybe like 5 feet away from you. Now, that's also been known as the zone of assessment. And the last thing is to make a plan. I mean, I think, to be honest, the first thing is midwinter. If that happened, I mean, I'd be considering things like signaling and shelter and fire, because most likely it's probably gonna be cold. If you're lucky, maybe it's only like 0 or 32 Fahrenheit out, but it could be worse. It could be minus 30 or minus 22 Fahrenheit out. I mean, and most people, when they go into a plane or whatever, they're not usually wearing outdoor type of gear, because it's warm in the cabin of a plane. It's pressurized, it's heated or air conditioned. So you're probably not wearing the right clothes. You might be wearing a pair of jeans, for example, right? You might have gloves on. You might have a tube on. You may have a winter jacket on, but it might not be as great as you think. So that's what I would consider first. And if you think that no one's gonna come for you, you can take the risk of trying to walk it out. But I mean, I think it would just depend on the situation. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So yeah, I'm open for open survival type of questions, even hypothetical ones, or maybe something you've seen or something like that. If you guys wanted to know what I would do, things I would consider. Like, coming back to that first question from Alex, yeah, signaling, shelter, and fire. I think those would be the most important things first, because most likely you'll have to stay overnight. Now, if you did jump out of a plane, I was just remembering, I mean, you probably don't have a parachute. I'm assuming you'll have a parachute if you're jumping out of a plane. I mean, right? Because plane, what, 10,000 feet or whatever, minimal. So if you jumped out, also, you're probably gonna have a parachute of some sort. I highly doubt that it's gonna be like Indiana Jones, with a raft. I highly doubt that would happen like that, but a parachute is probably more likely. Now, a parachute, there's lines on it which can be used to tie things, set up, make a shelter with, cordage to tie things together, stuff like that. I mean, the parachute, depending on the color, let's say if it's white, it's a little bit different. You could, you could still use that as a form of shelter, especially if it's like nylon. Like it might be able to be good enough be used as like kind of like wind guard or like to prevent the snow from coming into your kind of makeshift shelter that you made. The strips could be used, I mean, for signaling purposes, like a big ass flag, or let's see, the strips could be used as trail markers. You might be in an area you're not familiar with. Actually, unless you know where you were right when that happened, you might not know exactly where you are. So, I mean, some sort of or knowing where you are. So, maybe it's sunny out or whatever, or you see the stars, so you can kind of guess kind of where you are and how far you are away from like a major kind of urban area or civilization. I've gone ahead and added you guys in as moderators, although I probably can moderate my own channel for a little bit, but as a as a sign of faith that I trust you guys enough. You guys are all good. I've known you guys for quite a bit of time. Some of you I've known longer, some of you I haven't known as long, but it's still good. Fire, huh? Well, my favorite way to get a fire going, well, when I always say, try to have at least a flames and a spark method. And if you want, you can add in a heat method like solar, for example. Or if you're more adventurous, you can make, friction fire, but that takes energy. Not as easy as it looks, especially if you have to make it from like natural resources on the fly in the real world. Not some kit that not some bow drill set kit that you brought in. And of course, have tinder and some sort of tinder making tools like a knife, pencil sharpener is useful for that. Because you can make very fine shavings, and because the surface area, you can, even if it's a little bit damp, you can kind of just like move it around, put it in the sun, put it underneath your armpit, and try to warm it up, dry out that tinder a little bit more. So you start that fire, it's gonna go. I mean, like preparation for a fire is important, especially if your fire starting methods are limited. Let's say, for example, you only had a handful of matches. You want that fire to go, so you're only using one match and not having to relight the match again. So to answer your question, my favorite fire starting method is probably I would love to say solar. I love solar, but of course solar is not always available, so I don't mind using spark and flame methods. I mean, lately I've been using spark methods again, but occasionally, I gotta dip into using a flame. And obviously, if it's sunny out, I'm gonna use solar as much as I can. Yeah, you're right about that. Cheap things about earlier when I was talking about using a raft, similar to one of the Indiana Jones movies. As far as I know, it is possible, but I don't think you can do that from that up high. Like, I don't think the altitude, depending on the altitude. And of course, you can use that raft as shelter. There might be other stuff with it. I mean, a raft is, designed to be on water, so that material should be waterproof. You know, should be windproof too. I mean, if you were making a shelter, I mean, that'd save you lots of time because you don't have to kind of waterproof your shelter or add a bunch of bowels just to block more wind. You'd be finding like tree bowels to like for insulation. Well, I guess that would also be good for carrying water too. Whatever works, right, Alex? I mean, like, it's good to practice everything, but in terms of survival, you know, if you're cold, do whatever it takes. But if you have more time to set up, maybe you'll be making feather sticks, maybe trying to find tinder like birch bark, maybe cattails to get a quick flame, fat wood if you can find it. Although tinder can be difficult at times in the winter when it's been snowing. Finding tinder and drier stuff is obviously easier in the summertime. Oh, it's okay, Nathaniel. It's okay. Yeah. You know what? I've had many channels leave me. Not naming anyone, but whatever. It's not a big deal. There's 6.6 billion people on the planet, and there's probably millions of YouTube channels. Just because I lose one channel, you know, there's more channels that I can kind of associate with. Oh, that's cool, Nathaniel, that you like hand drill, friction fire, and flint and steel. No, I don't have a steel for a flint and steel. I mean, I played around with flints, but and kind of tried roughly trying to make like well, not make, but do what's that called? Flint napping. That's with a K. Basically trying to get an edge or something like that. I've gotten a couple decent edges that are good enough to get a spark from to use as a striker on a ferro rod, for example. Hand drill for me, I've tried it. I've gotten smoke from it. I haven't developed an amber from it yet, so not quite there yet, but hopefully I'll try it again soon. And maybe dip into some of these other things like the fire plow, the fire roll, and stuff like that. Because I'm hoping that I'll learn it see how it is, see how difficult it is, and after try to replicate that, but without, you know, the modern conveniences of, or the convenience of drying it out beforehand, using natural materials that I find when I go out. Because ideally, I want to be able to do that. Because I don't want to be relying on, like, oh, I've made hand drills lots of times. I've done hand drills, hand drill, bow drill, or hand drill fires lots of times, and be like, but I can't do it out of nowhere, or not be able to wing it and create it on the fly if need be. Because I want to be able to do that. And to me, that's more important. Me practicing with like pieces that are like good pieces that are dry, maybe using like a skateboard wheel, for example, as a bearing block. Yeah, that's good to practice with. Get your formation, not formation, but your technique down. Yeah, that's fine. But in the real world, you're not gonna have that with you when you need it the most. Alright, 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 I'll check them out. I'll check them out. I'll check them out, Nathaniel. See how they are. I'll probably come over there and be like, dang, Nathaniel's so pro at this. Wish I was that great at doing that. But of course there's lots of friction fire methods, not just hand drill, bow drill, um, fire plow, or fire roll. Like I've seen them. They don't look that difficult, but I mean, usually, well, not usually, all the time, with friction fire, you could apply so much kind of effort into it. Because you're trying to create friction in a certain spot, and hopefully get a coal going of some sort. Like, there's nothing wrong with using a lighter. I mean, if that's what you got, that's what you got. But the thing about lighters, they're extremely vulnerable to water and the cold. Now, matches are still vulnerable to water to a certain degree, I guess. But they're more. It doesn't matter how cold a match gets. And the match can be left out overnight for long periods of time, and it will kind of still work the same way when you light it up, providing you light it up nice and cleanly and all this stuff. I mean, matches have been left in like cabins, like hunting cabins and stuff like that, by the stove, for the next person that uses it, so just in case it's an emergency, they can get in, get a fire going, warm up, and stuff like that. And that's why they don't leave lighters there, because those cabins probably will get cold, far below freezing, where if you came into a cabin in an emergency type of situation, just found a lighter, most likely it's not going to have a strong flame, especially if it's cold, because the inside's probably like, minus 15 0 Fahrenheit inside, and that later you would have to warm it up, and if you're cold, it's not as useful. Oh, that's cool, cheap things that you tried out flint knapping too. I'm trying to, I mean, let's say I haven't made no arrowheads or spear points or axe types of things. And speak of flint knapping, I'll show off a few that I tried to do. Because the thing about using, well, flint knapping is using stone tools, making stone tools like, like Stone Age, before the introduction of copper, metals, bronze, tin, and of course, iron, steel with carbon, and the rest of these metals like titanium and all this other stuff now. So usually the thinner it is, the easier it is to break. So let's see. Here's one right here. I tried to make something out of it. It did not go so well. It's not really that sharp yet. Here's a bigger piece that I chipped off a few pieces. Let's see, here's a few pieces right here. I still have to try to see if I can get them into a certain shape. Because that seems to be the hardest part, is getting it into a certain shape. I mean, let's see, this one right here. A piece like this is not easily snap if you apply too much pressure one way or the other, but it's sharp enough or has that angle, then I can, get a spark from the ferro rod. And the metal's harder than the steel, so something like quartz, for example. So if this was quartz, I can use it with a flint and steel as the flint. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I seem to break it too, but that's the reality of stone tools. They can break, especially the thinner they are. Or they chip. The edge you get may be sharp, but it's nowhere near as sharp as, well, iron and steel tools, obviously. Now, I've only been talking about flint knapping with like rocks. Now, I haven't played around with something like obsidian, which is basically volcanic type of glass, extremely sharp, but very fragile. Like that, I wish I had that kind of stuff to play around with, just to try it out. Let's see what you guys talking about. Well, first I'll answer the top question first, or kind of go through it. Stormproof matches. I've only bought one pack of stormproof matches. I don't generally use them. Like, there's lots of videos on people, you strike it, put it underwater, that kind of thing. But the amount of stormproofness, for lack of a better word, is limited. You can get there's smaller sizes, regular type size, and then there's the extra long ones, the tiny type of matches that can go up to 25 seconds. Now after, it becomes more of a, well, normal again. Now what I like to do is, let's see, do I have one nearby? Oh yeah, just give me a sec, I do have one nearby. So yeah, oops. here's the stormproof match right here. The spot I'm showing, this is the stormproof part of it. Afterwards it becomes normal. Now I have one in a kind of a balloon, and these are usually I tend to modify mine by just putting something on the bottom. So after the stormproof part goes, I have, something to kind of support it or back it up so I can maintain a flame. That's what I like to do. I mean, I generally don't use them, but they're there if I need to. And another thing about this kind of windproof or waterproofness of the stormproof match is what I found is it may continue smoldering or burning, but you don't actually have an open flame at that time. I mean, I've seen videos on someone showing off stormproof matches versus like leaf blower. All you see is smoke, and it's very minimal type of burn around, right next to this orange part. You're not getting an open flame at that time, unless you gotta cover it. Then you'll get an open flame. Whatever works, right? I've tried my hands on distilling water before. Also, I've boiled water. Like tried out water filters like Life Straw before. I recently just bought a new water filter to put into my longer term bag that has like activated carbon to reduce more volatile things and reduce the odor. And I guess I'll be showing that later on once I show off that kit or bag. Hey, it's Jeff. What's up, man? Peace. Live long and prosper. How's it going, man? Jeff, if you don't know already, I'm just randomly just open talk about survival. Questions are welcome. You want to ask something, that's cool. Say something, that's cool. Maybe, you're considering something and just want an opinion from me or anyone else currently on the side chat, let's feel free. Alright, I definitely gotta look out for that. Just give me 1 second, I'm just gonna screenshot that so I can have something to look at after. Just give me a sec so I can screenshot and save that. That way I can refer to it after the live stream's done and, check out the channel. Wow. Wow, I can't believe you have that. I wish I had a shark teeth. That'd be kind of cool just for, well, just because that'd be cool. But, of course, I remember Jeff lives closer to the ocean than some of us that live inland, so, more access to it. The beach does roll in a bunch of stuff. The shore does gather up a lot of stuff. I mean, everyone always sees it on shows, maybe like a movie, like that one movie with that ball, yeah, everyone knows what I'm talking about, or stories or movies, and you see things coming into shore. I mean, unfortunately, there's garbage in the oceans and the water, unfortunately. But for someone that's stuck on an island or shipwrecked or whatever, that could be, your lifeline, your hardware store, a place to get more resources, new resources, like bottles. Bottles, can be used for, glass bottles can be used to boil, plastic bottles can be used to store water, distill water through like solar and stuff like that. That's cool. That's cool that you guys are, you know, getting along great and have actually checked out each other's channels to a certain degree. Maybe learn a few things here and there, or reinforce something you already know. I have some coffee here. I really should have got like an extra large, and not just a large. Memo to self: get an extra large next time. Oh, yeah, exactly. We have a great community here. I'm lucky to have nice, awesome subscribers like you guys. Meaning the people on the side chat right now. And, whoever wants to come by and view it after the fact. So let me just put my kind of flints away real quick here. Oh, gotta put these wicks away too. I'm so bad for not putting stuff away after I shoot video or show stuff on live chat or live stream. Oh yeah, feel free to sub each other if you guys want. But what I tend to say is, if you're not sub to each other, try to check out their content. Don't sub just because for the sake of subbing. Sub because you enjoy their videos, you enjoy their content. Even if it's just one video about a fire starter or starting a fire. I mean, sometimes I've subbed to a channel just because of a handful of videos. Then there's other times I sub to a channel because I like all the content. I mean, everyone knows that everyone's busy, it's hard to watch videos all the time. Leave comments, especially constructive kind of feedback kind of comments, and actually help the channel out. Like if they're showing off a kid, making suggestions, not shooting people, but making suggestions or recommendations, things to consider. Because in a lot of these survival kits, I try not to shit people like, oh, you should get XYZ, because sometimes, you can't afford XYZ, or XYZ doesn't apply to you. So, for example, like, if I was talking about a water filter and someone said, get it, desalination system, I'd be like, well, I don't live by the ocean. There's fresh water around here. Or, something stupid or silly like that. Thanks, Jeff. I don't rule, Jeff. I'm just that guy that's always in creation mode. Like, always. The only time I'm not in creation mode is in the shower, eating, or I'm sleeping. But pretty much every other time I'm in creation mode, creating something. Maybe I'm braiding up something. Uh, maybe making like a striker like this one I have right here, which is shown in another live stream. Let's see, what else? My wooden pencil. Yeah, my wooden pencil right here. Let's see, what else is there? Oh, hold on a sec. Oh, come on. I can undo this arbor knot here. We're making like something like a lighter leash. This is just one of those badge clip kind of extender thingies. With some cordage and stuff like that, you can make an easy lighter leash, and it'll work with almost any lighter. Because I know those lighter leashes are meant for like normal size picks. But with something like this, I could put it on like a clipper lighter, mini bank, something like that. Or even from the dollar store. That's good to hear, Johnny. And operated by a shark tooth. I mean, no, everyone would hate to have to get cut open with a shark tooth, or glass, or like a razor blade. And hopefully you have some way to disinfect the surface with alcohol or boiling water, fire, something along the lines of that. That's cool. That's cool. Glad you guys are having a good time, enjoying each other's company and all that stuff. That's why I like to see, build up this community of support. And remind me all the time that, one person can't help everyone in this world, but one person can help someone in this world. Looks like I got a couple more watchers. Anyone watching wants to say hi, ask questions about survivalism, maybe it's about prepping or along the same lines, something about fire, shelter, water, food, safety and security, orientation, navigation, or transportation. I'm hoping to get more into the transportation part. I know Johnny here over at Jeep Things Outdoors knows quite a bit about that stuff. You can go check out his channel. He knows quite a bit of that stuff. I think he's still working on some sort of bug out vehicle or something like that. I gotta work on something like that. If it's not a car, at least a bike. Oh, and Jeep Things also bikes, which is cool because I enjoy biking too, so. Hey, so Steve, what's up, man? Live, wait, live long and prosper. And thank you for those kind words, so Steve. Thanks for dropping by. Always appreciate everyone that drops by the live stream while it's live. It keeps it going, the live stream, feedback, that interaction, that kind of real time or next to real time interaction. I'm hoping to get a better compass. But right now, only a handful. I mean, like I've made, the standard. I've made improvised compasses before. Needle and a magnet. If nothing else, a needle and a magnet. You'll have to create it from scratch every time, but it'll be fresh every time. Because as far as I know, if compasses get too close to metal over time, or some sort of stronger magnetic field, it might, not be as accurate. But I'm no expert in compasses. I've only used a handful, seen a handful, and I don't have anything spectacular lit. So, still working on it. Of course, a compass should go hand in hand with like a map. Maybe you're using knowledge of, sundial or a moon dial, uh, star navigation, and stuff like that. Oh wow, you cauterized a wound with table salt. Well, you know what? I've used things before when I've gotten cut. I've actually tried out pine sap before. Don't know if it helped more than anything else, but at least it kept, water out. I mean, I've tried out different things to like stop bleeding before. I mean, like, honestly, depending on where you get cut, you know, apply pressure and stuff like that. I mean, sometimes even depending on where you get cut, like, I remember I got cut on the back of the hand, my finger right here, and I have videos of when I was, well, showing something or whatever, and I had that bandage on. Now that took a long time for me to heal, to the point that I don't need to wear a bandage anymore. I had to wear a bandage for like a couple weeks. It wasn't pretty. you know, I cut myself in, first thing, apply pressure, squeeze, like in this case, I'm squeezing my hand, applying pressure, trying to prevent it from bleeding, and raising my hand above my heart, so, and stuff like that. hmm So true. So Steve, yeah, general direction. I actually have a magnet with a needle as part of a kit that I have. Cause I figure cause I wanted the needle anyways, and sometimes the magnet can be useful, but a compass, I mean, besides navigation, there's not really secondary uses. Sunshine State, hey? Yep. I've never been there. I think I have a friend there, but I haven't talked to her in a while. I think she lives in I'm trying to remember. It's not San Francisco or San Diego, but I can't remember. No, I can't remember right now. I guess it would help if I spell right. There we go. Had to put that in, of course, right? Just in case no one knows for some reason. Even though people have asked me what state I live in, I'm like, I don't live in a state. I'm not American. That's why it says it in my about Canada. Canada. It's minus 20 Celsius. Here, I'll actually bring up the, the kind of weather. Yeah, so right now it is about minus 17 Celsius out. Wind chill puts it at minus 22, and that wind is northwest wind, which is actually Arctic air. And in Fahrenheit, that's 2 Fahrenheit, or about minus 8 Fahrenheit with the wind. Yep, exactly. Okay, okay. You can strike a needle or rub in one direction. I'm assuming a needle with against your sleeve to make it magnetic. Preferred a wool sleeve. Okay, speak of wool. Okay, okay. So right now, so Steve, I have a wool hat on. So I can do this with this. I can take a needle, and just go like this, one direction, continuously for like 50 times, and make a compass. Is that what you're saying I can do? Because I've never really tried, like, with silk or something like that. I've never heard about the wool. I've heard about the silk. I think I've heard about human hair too. Sweet, sweet. Jeff's coming closer. I, you know what I hear? I hear a meet and greet coming. Just kidding. Oh, so you'll be closer by the springtime. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, like, no one wants to move in the middle of winter. I remember one time I helped someone move in the middle of winter. That was annoying. You gotta watch out for ice, snow, stuff like that. I think I had to wear, like, ice cleats at one time. Like, the moving vehicles, everything's cold, metals are all cold, and sometimes you're wearing such big gloves, but you can't get into the box holes. I mean, alright, so Steve, I'll try that out after. I'll definitely try that out. Let me check something here. Just give me a quick second here, just checking out. Alright, just seeing if I had any comments from something else or messages. Everything else I have off right now. So I'm trying not to get interrupted or distracted by messages coming in. Since it's late, I don't have to worry about phone calls. I hope. Oh, static magnetic. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, yeah, I should read about that. Try to understand it for myself. Definitely good to keep in mind. So, like I said, I'm open for any survival related type of questions. Food, water, fire, shelter. I'm still waiting for someone to give me a shelter question. Everyone always wants to ask, oh, what's the best survival knife? Best survival knife is the one you have with you when you're in that situation. You just hope that it's full tank, fixed spine, maybe has some attachments like a ferro rod or something, or at least a lader with it. And as long as you can get it, and hopefully with a sheep too. Still waiting for someone to ask me a shelter question. Because here in Canada, it can get cold in certain parts of the country. I mean, like, I've never been up like north, like, into more of the, what's that called? Uh, what's that called? It starts with tundra or the Arctic. But I've been up more north, but less south than that. But that was during the summer. I mean, during the winter around here, you know, winds can be Arctic air, 50 kilometers an hour, making the wind chill feel like minus 40, which is the same in Celsius and in Fahrenheit. So sometimes for me, shelter is quite important because I've been out in weather where it's been raining and it's like maybe below 50 Fahrenheit or plus 10 out, and it's pouring out, and that rain actually feels cold. Like, if you got soaked, you would be like starting to get cold because the water temperature is so much lower, and you're getting soaked, and especially if you're walking or biking or whatever, all you feel is this wind, and it's cooling you down even more. I mean, like, it did happen once to me. And let's just say I've updated my kind of everyday carry to include some sort of garbage bag, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. Or at least I can have an option if that happens again. Because that was bad. A bad situation at that time. Now, now lucky, I wasn't that far from home. So, only another 20 more minutes. So it wasn't that bad, but let's just say I had to get out the wet clothes right away, and hang them up and stuff like that. Because wet clothes, water conducts heat away faster than the air can. And of course, things like metals and ice will conduct heat away from you pretty fast too, if not even faster. Hey, it's Danny Schwab. Peace and live long and prosper, which I'm saying to everyone. I think it's gonna be one of those things I do for the live chats now, for a little bit. Let's see. All right, Danny. Thanks for dropping in. Even if it's short, thanks for the thumbs up. I appreciate it. You take care as well. Enjoy the week, and live long and prosper, Danny. Huh. Well, for the first time here, this is gonna be the first live stream, and I actually have double digits for watchers. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Let's see. Now, Alex is asking here. I know I keep going to the side a little because I'm trying to look at the screen, my display. Let's see. What would you suggest I first do if I'm camping and suddenly there's a nuclear holocaust? I gotta think about that for a second. Thanks, Johnny, for that. Thank you, Cheap Things. Yeah, you're so right, so Steve. Hyperthermia, or, I mean, hyperthermia, which means below normal body temperature, or, and the other word is hypothermia, and hypo means above, so above normal body temperature. But yeah, hyperthermia, even before you suffer from hyperthermia, you're gonna probably be suffering from numbness, and if it's wintertime below freezing, you're gonna get frostbite. Yeah, let's just say there's a good reason why I put shelter quite highly. Because shelter is one of those things, like, when you don't have it, the seconds seem like forever. But when you do have it, it keeps working for you for a little bit. You don't have to tend to it like a fire, for example. I mean, it's great to have fire, but sometimes you can't have fire, or the fuel you have is like limited, or you gotta exert more energy with an axe or a saw to get more firewood. Or if your shelter's really good, you can sustain something with even a smaller type of fire versus, having a really crappy shelter and having a really big fire that you can maintain on and on and on again, especially if you don't know how to make something for a self-feeding type of fire. I mean, I've been certain points where I'm shivering. I mean, it's pretty bad when you stop shivering. And then you kind of know, or there's that dexterity test with the thumb and pinky. If you can't even do that, you're too cold, or your hands are at least too cold. Now, one thing I keep in mind about kind of winter hyperthermia is try to keep your core body temperature as warm as possible so your body doesn't go into that sudden, I'm gonna constrict the blood flow to my extremities, my hands and feet and face, right? And besides, keeping your core body temperature warm means that you're pumping warm blood to the extremities still. So, keep your heart, lungs, liver area, stomach as warm as possible. So going back to what Alex was saying, what would you suggest, if something happened while you were camping, a nuclear type of holocaust happens? I mean, if you were camping, let's say in the mountains, for example, ideally under normal situations, you would bring stuff with you. So remember, that stuff will help you. Maybe it's water filtration, food, water, and stuff like that. Um, you will being camping, you're probably in the woods, outside of kind of an urban area. So most likely, you wouldn't have to experience like the blast wave or any nuclear type of fallout, since you're pretty far away, unless the wind is strong and blowing east towards you. That'd be different. Maybe well, also you drove in, head back to your vehicle, see if you can get any updates on the news, on the radio, see where it is, how big it is, you know, if you get cell phone reception or whatever. Try to get online, see details, check social media if you can. Because one thing is, you may not have a place to go back to, or if you do, it's contaminated and you cannot enter that zone because it's hot due to a big flux of gamma ray radiation. Now, if anyone doesn't know, gamma rays are the most energetic type of light wave. Like gamma rays will just, destroy your DNA, cause cancer, and pretty much, you'll kind of die from radiation poisoning. Hopefully no one has to suffer for that, because it's probably not a pretty sight and it's probably painful, as far as I know. Best type of survival food, you know, I've heard people talk about like ramen noodles. Now, if you gotta have ramen noodles, or it's the only thing you have, you know, it's okay. The nutrition value is probably not as high. Then there's stuff like freeze dry, like Mountain House, for example. Generally a little bit more expensive. Shelf life is up to 5 years, but remember, sometimes if you get it discounted, it's discounted because it's not its best before is coming up soon. And of course you need water for that. Let's see, what else is there? Dehydrated stuff. I mean, there's like nuts, dry fruit, that can keep for a while, and it's ready to go. You don't have to start a fire or heat water or boil water to get it to go. Unlike, noodles or Mountain House or egg noodles, or something like that. I mean, there's kind of, what's that called, knocks or whatever, kind of those, kind of, for lack of a better word, so those side dishes. I mean, people eat them normally, but they'd be okay to put in a bag. You would have to cook it, but relatively cheap. But it doesn't have the shelf life in comparison to like freeze dried stuff. Now I guess there's also like meals ready to eat, MREs. I've never had an MRE, so I don't particularly know how they taste like. But as far as I know, there's more sodium content. And of course, those are kind of ready to go. And some of them, if they need a heater, they come with a heater. That's basically some sort of exothermic reaction. You put it in water and stuff like that, and basically you cook the food with hot water. Hello, Finger Lake Prepper. Oh wait, I mean Finger Lakes Prepper. Sorry. I just yes. Hello, Finger Lakes Prepper. I just live long and prosper. I just like he's literally my last subscriber. I just met him today. I've already checked out some of his videos. And by the way, I enjoyed that kind of bag that you were showing. It's definitely heavier than the one I have. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Let's see. That's a good point there, Jeep Things. Nothing wrong with peanut butter or with crackers. Nothing wrong with rice and beans with oil. I mean, rice, beans, and oil. It might be boring, simple, but it works. It gives you complete proteins. So even if you're vegan, it'll be fine. It gives you carbohydrates and fats. You would probably try to supplement that with vitamins of some sort, so you can get the vitamins that you need to. And of course, honey, kind of can go forever. Doesn't really expire or go bad. Oh, thanks. Like I said, thanks for dropping in. FLK. I mean FLP. Sorry. Like I said, I just met him, so still new to the name. But he's got an awesome channel. You guys can go check that out too. He's got good content. I haven't checked out every last video. So obviously I just subbed to him today, or a couple hours ago. So I haven't watched everything, but I have watched a good 3 videos from him. And of course I had to sub because he showed off snow. Just kidding. Yeah, I think a global type of crisis is probably more likely, more possible. I mean, stuff like a pandemic is probably more likely. Because as far as I know, for nukes, it's just like, once one gets kind of turned on, everyone wants to retaliate and no one wants to, you know, make every place on the planet unlivable. So, well, good morning to you, so Steve. Cheers to that. Hey, it's Home Runner. Welcome to my live stream, Home Runner. Big peace, live long and prosper. So, like I've been saying throughout this video, I'm taking any questions, comments about survival related topics. Food, water, fire, shelter, safety and security, navigation, orientation, basically knowing where you are, and to a certain degree, transportation. Where it be like transportation, like a wagon, carts, your own 2 feet, a car, and stuff like that. I think that transportation is always important too, because people and cultures have been kind of migrating from place to place. Like, if I remember right, Native Americans would, you know, go where the wild buffalo would be, so they had to stay mobile. And back in the 18th century, yeah, no, the 18th, 19th century, after, Christopher Columbus, that huge migration from Europe of people coming into North America for the first time, they had to travel out west, yeah, there was the railroad, but, before the railroad, people had to come in with wagons, bring their supplies, bring everything, bring their pots and pans and stuff like that. Because no one wants to walk from like one province or one state to another. You'd be very exhausted. Where if you had some wheels, some transportation, a horse, a buggy, a cart, a bicycle even, I mean, you'd save so much more time, save energy too. And besides, I'd rather be coasting down a hill than trying to walk down the hill. Just quickly reading what you guys are I'm writing. That's why my head's to the side here. Well, Jeff, one major, I know Dave Canterbury always talks about going tool heavy because you can make stuff from tools. I mean, like, yeah, but then there's also certain things are hard to recreate. It's depending on your area. I mean, in most areas, you know, unless you have the skill and knowledge of doing it, I mean, something like shelter, I mean, like cover, for example, shelter, you can do it. But something like cordage, for example, if it's the middle of winter, you're not gonna find roots. Cordage is gonna be extremely hard. And something like a container, for example, unless you know how to make like a birch cup with, you know, and do all this stuff, or maybe you live in more of a place that has like bamboo. Yeah, containers would be easier to come by. And of course, everyone knows how hard or difficult and time consuming and energetic friction fire is. Let's see, cover. Yeah, I mean, a cutting type of tool, you can flip nap. You might be able to find glass, for example, or if you live maybe closer to a volcanic area, maybe you can find obsidian, or you find a piece of like quartz, then you flip nap. Yeah, I've been about the footwear. I've been adding more socks in. I need to find or buy or whatever some more wool socks. I'm trying to, I can get, blends, but I'm trying to find 100%. Because the ones I find are like, 60/40, 70/30, or something like that. And I'm trying to find, 100%. Now, this hat I have on is actually 100% wool. Like, I actually will show. Not sure. You guys probably won't be able to see. Of course, can't read that. Let's see if I can. Of course. Anyways, just take my word. It's 100% wool hat. Oh, did I mention? The one time, now, I actually found this hat. Yes, I actually found a 100% wool hat when it was minus 30 or minus 22 Fahrenheit out. This is before the new year. I just pulled over for a quick, for a quick breather. I just saw it on the side of the road. Wasn't thinking anything about it until later on when I looked at the label. I'm like, oh, it's 100% wool. That's cool. What are the chances of finding, an article of clothing that's 100% wool? I mean, like, obviously, it's easy enough to find, like, synthetics, a scarf, a toque, or something that's acrylic. But I'm like, oh, 100% wool. And it's a hat. I'm like, that's a good score. So, and it's gray, kind of more neutral color. Yeah, speak of footwear, you gotta try to keep your boots, shoes, or whatever you're wearing as dry as possible. I mean, you trying to avoid having hot spots on in your shoes during the summer. I've had hot spots on my shoes before. This is after walking in, you know, plus 30, which is about what 93 Fahrenheit out for like 6 kilometers for an hour on the side of the road. Not over grass or over a meadow or in the tree area, but over like cement, which actually is hotter than you think. It's because like everyone's familiar with like mirages and stuff like that. The heat like radiates off the cement or off the road, so it's even hotter. And there was very minimal shade. And I got a heat spot on my ankle or whatever. I was just like, oh, makes it harder to move. So I put some duct tape on that area, as an extra layer. So it worked. definitely helped out. Tape's pretty useful, I think. Lots of uses for tape. I mean, there's lots of tape: electrical tape, gorilla tape, duct tape, just for a few examples. Speak of the footwear, I also keep bags with them, or bags that I can use. So, let's say you get caught off guard, for some reason, or you don't have the best footwear, or the footwear you have isn't 100% waterproof, and it's, you know, pouring out. You can put bags over your shoes and stuff like that. I've done that a few times. I actually have a video on that too, so anyone can go check that out. I'll try to remember to add an end screen for it, or queue it up in a card, or link it in the description down below, and stuff like that. Let's see, what else you guys talking about real quick here. Oh yeah, yeah. Companion adventures is like Survivor Man, Les Strauss would say. Take care of your feet, cause when they go, that's it. You're done, and you start being in a world of hurt. And that comes back to the transportation, because your first mode of transportation is your feet. When you don't have your feet, let's just say you don't want to be crawling or trying to walk out on your hands, for example. Yeah, okay, Jeep Fingers was asking, real quick here, most important items for bugging out, or for a bug out bay, or for more of a longer term, or for evacuation type of kits. Like, sometimes when you're bugging out, it's because of a natural disaster of some sort that forces you to leave your castle, for lack of a better word. Maybe it's fire, maybe it's a hurricane, maybe, civil unrest, and, it's not safe in the neighborhood anymore for whatever reason. So, what is the most important, uh, let's see, yeah, item? Remember, the most important thing is head, as in your brain, knowledge, skill, right? Knowledge, skill, experience. All that doesn't weigh you down. It doesn't weigh anything. It's all up here. Now, in terms of actual gear, right? After all that, the most important thing is everyone always talks about bladed instruments, knives, right? And basically, knife is just a wedge. I mean, I think tools would be quite high on the list. Maybe it's not a knife, maybe it's, a hatchet, a saw. Maybe it's a multi-tool that has, like Leatherman, Gerber, Victorinox, SOG, for example, multi-type of tool that has that kind of stuff. I mean, you have something like that, that gives you more options, depending on the multi-tool, of course. So, I'd say tools. Yeah, so true about things you put into your kits, especially if it's meant for helping you in survival type of situations where, you know, options are limited. Like Jeep Things Outdoors said, trying to have things that are multifunctional, multi-use, maybe as light and not as bulky as possible. You know, to a certain degree, obviously, things like metal from tools is gonna be heavy, but they're multifunctional, allow you to make more stuff, stuff like that. Usually stuff like fire is a multifunctional type of thing, because with fire you can signal, disinfect water, well, biologically disinfect water, maybe make a distiller for like salt water or something like that. Cook your food. Uh, Cordage is usually a multi-purpose item because it helps you in making shelter, uh, snaring, if it's like, or getting food, like if it's fishing line. Like cordage itself, you can use it to like kind of make a system to drag like wood back to your campsite, for example, like bundles of wood and stuff like that. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I put the slow mo on because you guys are typing so fast. I gotta like try to keep up. Let's see. Da, 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 da. Yeah, free ways to make fire. Yeah, yeah, cheap things. Let's see. Jeff's like, I'm a big fan of of community and one family helping in their oh helping out others, working together and bartering. Okay, okay, okay. That's good. That's good. Hopefully it'll be like that. But with 6 billion people on the planet, you can't control everyone. Unfortunately, you would hope it's like that. You would hope people would be more sensible. But when you're hungry in survival type mode, sometimes things like common courtesy, even saying thanks, get thrown out the window for, you know, blah 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 blah, beep 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 beep, get this beep 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 ready, blah blah blah, and all that stuff. Yeah, yeah, cordage rope is hard to recreate. I've had a hard time with that. I mean, and remember, sometimes you need a certain length. If you're trying to make like for example, you need 7 feet, 8 feet to make a shelter, for a ridge line or whatever. If you did that with natural materials, you might not even have enough natural materials to make enough. You may have it, but you might not be able to make enough of it. Let's see here. Okay, Nathaniel, that's good. Yucca, milkweed, poplar, and cedar make good, nice cordage. Okay, okay. Thanks for sharing the info. I'll actually screenshot that so I can refer to it myself. Let's see here. Um, One of my friends, she showed me how to make natural cordage. I'm not very good at it. I mean, I'm hoping that I can do it. I don't see why not, but next time I talk to her or see her, hopefully, you know, maybe we can spend some time in the afternoon or whatever and be like, let's go make some cordage. Let's go make some rope. And as far as I know, depending on the natural cordage, I mean, it's not as strong as like parachute type of cordage or bank line or, something like that. Yeah, yeah, that's why I carry a lot of cordage. It's because it's hard in this area, especially in the winter. I'd be, I'd be more likely to see like a rainbow in the winter than get the cordage in the winter. Let's just say. So having extra type of cordage like paracord would be handy. And of course, something like paracord has multi-use inner strands, that kind of stuff. actually on the side, on the side chat right here. Speak of paracord. Has anyone used inner strands of paracord for fishing purposes, or for different reasons besides just flashing something together? Yeah, the bank line. I mean, everyone knows you can order stuff online, but let's just say you want to find it more locally or in a retail area. I've not been able to find it. Paracord's easy to find. That's why I mean, like, and inner strands of paracord can be pulled out and used, stuff like that. Okay, so you have to use that for bow drill string, and it took a bit to break it, Nathaniel said. Okay, okay. That's interesting. I'll keep that in mind. As far as I know, we do not have that here. I speak of the bank line. I mean, like, one of my subscribers graciously gifted me some bank line. Only 20 feet. I think it's what, number 8, number 9 bank line, but 20 feet isn't long enough to split it in half for fishing purposes. So, I'm not sure what to do with it at the moment. I mean, I got plenty of cordage in terms of air cordage. Yeah, yeah. Jute twine or sisal twine. Even, of course, anyone listening or whatever doesn't know, that's more of a natural type of. It will break down over time. It's biodegradable type of cordage. Now, it's not as high of a tensile strength compared to like paracord or bank line, but good for bushcrafting. You want to make up something, and you don't want to make a mess or litter afterwards. You can just leave it and it'll be fine. It'll biodegrade. And of course, natural type of cordage like that can be burned, broken up. Like Nathaniel said, it can be used to make tinder bundles, bird's nests. I mean, I've made bird's nests or tinder bundles with jute twine. I mean, it's useful. I carry jute twine with me. Now, some of the larger kits or backpacks, you know, geez, my foot's falling asleep. I don't carry it, but or a lot of it if I do, because usually I already I planned it beforehand, so I have the fire starters, I have flame spark heat, you know, stuff like that, and of course I get the paracord or some other type of cordage, but nothing wrong with jute twine. Yeah, wax jute twine. Wax jute twine, surprisingly enough, is good for what it is. I've tried it out before. Speak of which, speak of wax jute twine. It reminds me. Here's some right here. Some wax jute twine. You pull it apart, flip it up. It'll take a flame or a spark easily. It even works with a dead lighter. I mean, so it'll work with cooler or less hot sparks. Yeah. Now, of course, now that I took up the jute twine, now I can't close the tin. Hold on a sec here. Come on, close. Yeah. And I'll deal with it after. I keep 200 feet off the other wall. Oh, that's cool. That's cool, cheap things. I don't think I keep that much. I think I have at least 75 feet. At least. But the thing about the cordage in terms of like for like because most likely people would use cordage like paracord for example in a evacuation evac bugging out type of kit as probably for shelter reasons. Now things like nails can be added in so you don't have to use all the cordage, and I like to have like preset lengths of line. Like, for example, everyone's familiar with that triangle ridge line, and down below you have like anchor points. So, for example, if you were like 6 feet tall, maybe you would have something like 20 feet to make a ridge line, and 4 pieces of paracord that's like maybe 2 feet for to anchor it down. And you would put that with your shelter sleep system and stuff like that, in addition to having this extra usable amount of 50 feet 100 feet of paracord. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I remember that, Nathaniel. About the steel wool. Yeah. Speaking of the steel wool, I've seen videos, everyone knows, like, I know a battery can work with steel wool, but I mean, yeah, so does sparks from a ferrite, so does an open flame, and so does solar. So do you really per se need a battery? Especially a 9-volt battery in a kit? A 9-volt battery is heavier. Now, it may be more kind of resistant to the wind because you're just directly touching it. So it's more like a heat method. And, a 9-volt battery, if you have some sort of adapter with you, some sort of car adapter that's 9 volts to 5 volts, maybe you recharge a smartphone with it. But in a fire kit, I mean, 9-volt battery, it's too heavy, too bulky usually. Where instead of a 9-volt battery, you can put in like another big lighter, for example, and a big lighter is going to give you an open flame. Or you put another ferrite in, or something like that. Oh, that's cool, cheap things. About using saving parts from a cat scratcher as tinder. I know Caitlin Strain does that too with her cats, with Mila. I know she does that. I'll keep that in mind if I know people with cats, maybe I'll, keep that in mind. Test out the piece just in case, make sure it's natural, right? They'll burn and not per se melt like synthetic. This is great, guys. Thank you for all the great questions, and kind of interaction, which, this is why I like live streaming, because the interaction, I don't have to wait for, put up a static video, wait for comments, try to reply, then wait for a reply again. You guys can ask, answer, answer. I can ask, you guys answer, because I'm not a big fan of writing like a full paragraph on as a comment, even though I've done it before and I don't like to, but I just kind of want to, depending on the video, just kind of get my point across sometimes. But then there's other times where I want to be more specific, and which means I need to write things and explain it. Right, I'm gonna break this kind of talking for a little bit and show some more kits. So what kind of kit let's show off, since we're talking about fire for a little bit, and I'll show off another fire kit, why not? Or at least some fire items. Like right beside me is my fire chest. And basically, oops, stupid chair so squeaky. And basically I keep, you know, fire starters, wax, bunch of, you know, char cloth, char punk wood inside, and, you know, to keep it together, and candles too, 50-hour candles and stuff like that, 30-hour candles, you know, stuff like that. Keeps it all together, so it's all in one spot. I know, you know, if I need more fire stuff or whatever, it's there. Backup lighters, tea light candles, birthday candles, sparklers, things that can be used for solar, right? Lenses, reflectors. You know, actually, I'll show off a few of them. Alright, so Steve, thanks for dropping by, man. Take care, peace out, live long and prosper. Yeah, you too, so Steve, stay safe, enjoy the day. Thank you. Alright, let's see here. Without making a mess here. Stay. Alright. I haven't even shown this off. Actually, even people I actually talk to, like on Google Hangouts, I haven't shown them all of it, but you guys are gonna be the first ones to see this. But here is my char tin. And no, I don't actually make char cloth in this tin. I just kind of name it as a char tin. Basically, you know, it houses my actual char tin and, you know, char punk wood, char cloth, which includes jeans too. So let me see here if I can, like, yeah. So, you know, I got a container for char cloth, denim to make char cloth with some char punk wood right here, which is basically punk wood that, well, each kind of charred in the absence of oxygen, and, well, it turns into something similar to a piece of coal. I mean, I've had a piece I've experimented with, I think last summer, I made a big piece of char punk wood. It lasted for like 10 minutes, but it was pretty big. It was just like, you know, you could feel the heat coming off of it still. So, I mean, that kind of size, I mean, I should be able to blow something into flame with that size. More char cloth. And stay tuned later on. I have a modification with char cloth. Now I have someone who's gonna be trying it and experimenting with it because he knows how I modified it and he's been trying it out. Let's just say it's a way to kind of keep your char cloth together a little bit easier without affecting the characteristics of not having the amber, or in maintaining the amber on it, or the coal. So it still, you know, wants to transfer from one side to the other. It's very easy, but I'll leave that for when I show off that video. inside I have one I'm gonna be using as a larger tin. I still have to poke a hole for it, but I'm gonna be using it as a bigger container to make char cloth or char punk wood. So this is full of denim or con-like material. It's full. So I got lots to go. And if you haven't seen one of the videos that I did some scavenging, let's just say I found a pair of jeans on my kind of way home. You know, I picked them up, kind of cut them into usable chunks, and they're in here right now, and you know, eventually I'll charge them up either by fire or by solar. Although I tend to rather make charcoal with or charpunk with solar for two reasons. I don't need to expend more energy in terms of like starting a fire or whatever, and there's no extra CO2. So I'm not adding more. But if I don't have access to it, or you know, maybe I already have a campfire established, maybe I'm already going camping, or someone invites me over, it's like, hey, you want to come over for a fire? You know, I'll bring over my tin just to char with, because we're already gonna have a kind of campfire, you know, a social, recreational type of fire. So I'm like, yeah, might as well bring it. You know, you bring up some tongs, those metal tongs, super easy. Just put it in, has a little hole so the smoke can escape, or the volatile type of gases can escape, and all you're left with is a black piece of carbon. And you know, you use the tongs to turn it, or you know, or pick it up. You let it cool, and you know, you go from there. Try out a piece with like a spark or a flame and see. Alright, Jeep things. Outdoors. I'll catch you later, Johnny. Thanks for dropping by, I appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend. Or the rest of it. It's cool, man. It's cool. It's not from Reality Survival's channel. Uh, Proper preparedness prevents poor performance. The 5 P's of survival. I've heard about that too. Mainly from what's it called? What's his name? JJ. Over on Reality Survival's channel. Oh hey, Nathaniel's still here. I almost forgot Nathaniel said he was gonna stick around for a little bit. That's cool. Still accepting your guys' questions or comments. While I put away my chart in. I guess I'll leave this out while we talk about the next topic here. Let me ask you guys, you know, do you guys like commercial fire starters, or do you rather DIY or make it on your own? You know, your guys' thoughts behind that. I mean, there's a lot of commercial type of fire starters out right now. There's that rope that's more newer. Then there is, you know, more older type of like trioxane, wet fire or live fire. Right here, This is zips, right? I just keep it in a baggie sealed because it's quite strong of an odor. Like the zip fire starters were donated by my friend. I know. I mean, they work. I've seen them work. But I've also learned how to, make my own, with good characteristics. Hence why, there's a Fire Versus series of videos right now. And later on, undetermined time or day, I'll release how it's made. You know what? I've never played around with Whitefire. I know about it, seen videos, but never had it specifically in my hands. If I remember right, yeah, Whitefire is made from UST, Ultimate Survival Technologies. And it's actually, speak of UST, one of the places that I can go to for, supplies or whatever, is actually in their online section, kind of, their store. Apparently they're bringing in a bunch of UST products, like those cards. I was kind of thinking about that. They don't have that kind of fire tinder yet or something like that. Charm material. You know what? It's gotta be punkwood. Punkwood is available, renewable, and nature keeps making it. Now, in terms of like more a swatch or a cloth, people like t-shirts, towels, denim is pretty good. People have tried lamp wick. I've never tried lamp wick yet. I heard it's supposed to be pretty good. Oh yeah, those makeup type of hats, which I'll show right here. So like this, like I said, my fire chest is right beside me, so I can grab this. And here's some from Dollarama. Also, you can get them from Dollar Tree in the US or, other brand type names. So, something like this. You flip it up, and, you drive sparks or hit a flame to it. It's good. Con, is probably the easiest to light. If you can't light up a con ball or something like that, you're in trouble, let's just say. Oh yeah, I've heard about people dipping it, that kind of stuff in wax and stuff. My Firestart versus videos, I have a slight modification from that. It's slightly different. Slightly different. So you'll have to wait for that, Nathaniel. And consider it for yourself if you want. But let's just say I've made a whole bunch of kind of hot candles with that kind of stuff. Like, speak of fire stuff, I just realized I didn't put my fat wood away in the tin. Hold on a sec. So yeah, like what I showed earlier, this is a hard candle. This is made with con pads. Let's see. See. Well, clearly it's yellow because of the wax, but right now I got probably about 14 of those pads that I just showed like a few seconds ago, a minute or so ago, in here. Not sure how long it'll go for, but I've seen it while I've been making it and trying it out. I've seen the flame as high as 9 inches, almost a foot. It was so warm that the kind of like bench I have outside, I can sit it on there, stand up, and feel the heat on my face. That's how warm it felt. So now clearly something like wax will add more weight to a fire starter, but you know, it'll gradually get lighter because you're burning it away. And like I said earlier, I prefer hot candles over buddy burners. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Of course, of course, of course, of course you would like the solar videos I do. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm showing off the 42 inch. I have a 65 inch lens. Those are available from old school rear projection TVs. You can get smaller ones at the Dollar Tree. They're 7x10. Very useful, lightweight. You know, a good item to have in a bug out bag, or even if you want to go camping or with it, or pretty much I actually put them like everywhere. It gives me that option. You know, I can use it as a fan in the heat, fan fire, flames, create a lighthouse type of effect to magnify a light source, and of course use it for solar ignition, or maybe see something on my hand a little bit closer. So I think it's useful, multifunctional, and I think in one of the videos I was talking about that I got tagged to show, you know, 10 items I would rank for SHTF in terms of gear items I would like to bring. I think I had that quite high on the list. Because not every situation is gonna be pouring rain or thunder showers. It could be air situations like civil unrest or something like that. Okay, Nathaniel. Take care, man. Peace. Live long and prosper. Yeah, I guess I'm just gonna show off. Wouldn't be a video about survival if I didn't show some fat wood, so I'll show off some fat wood. Just a small piece. This is local Canadian fat wood. And I also got some from the US, indirectly. It's like scratch and sniff. Like, look at this piece of fat wood right here. Like, look at the veins on that. Like, if I sliced it thin enough, you'd be able to see through it. And I just put it in one of these kind of containers, snap containers that you can get from the Dollar Tree, for example. I don't mind these containers from the Dollar Tree. I should grab a few more. Although you need to check to see if they're 100% waterproof, of course. You know your gear. Another thing I want to touch base on for a little bit is knowing your gear. You know, there's lots of videos out there. Well, not like lots, but there's a handful, hundreds of videos out there where you guys might, you know where I'm coming from, but you'll see these bags and like it doesn't even look like the packaging's been opened on like a stove, for example. Like they haven't even used it at least once. or it's a multi-tool still in the packaging, right? Like it might be defective or something like that. You would know because you didn't bring it out in the packaging, or maybe it's not as sharp from the factory as you think it is, and you didn't take it out and you go use it in an emergency type of situation, and you find out it's not as sharp as you thought it was, because you didn't take that extra 5 seconds to at least take it out of the packaging, let alone try it out. Maybe nothing wrong with trying stuff in your backyard before going out into the woods. Nothing wrong with trying stuff in your backyard and then trying it out somewhere else. Oh wow, Jeff, that's a lot of lighters from the 99-cent store for $1 for 20. Wow, that's a lot. I've been lucky lately and been able to find lighters, like actual working lighters. Sometimes I'm like really really lucky and find ones that are full, mini bigs. Sometimes I find ones that are half full or close to dead. But lighters also include a piece of flint, and flint can be useful, which is basically like a really small version of a ferro rod, not like flint napping or with flint and steel. Alright, Alex, thanks for dropping by. I'll catch you later. Good night. Live long and prosper. Unless for some reason something changes, I'll probably close down in 18 minutes. And you know what? Screw it. I'll keep going. Might as well. I got Jeff here. And someone else. So, and maybe someone else will drop in soon. Let me ask you, Jeff, since you were talking about, well, asking about how cool the solar was, uh, do you actually use solar this, well, to do stuff? Besides, maybe it's not solar ignition per se, but maybe for some other reason. Or maybe you have used it and you use it for solar ignition purposes. Because I don't remember seeing you starting a fire with solar ignition. Unless I'm forgetting here. Because I know how many times I've started a fire with solar ignition. Hundreds. From as late as like 4 to 8 in the summertime to as early as like 6 a.m. in the summer. Sometimes solar can be a little bit more challenging in the winter just because usually it's lower on the horizon, so there's a lot more shade from like trees and stuff like that, from stuff blocking it on the horizon. But if you're in an open field, it's sunny out, should be piece of cake. So let's see what else. So let's see. Oh, here's one of the lighters I found that I was talking about. It's a clipper lighter. Unfortunately, it's not the ones with a flint. It's an electric spark, so it is what it is. But apparently, it's refillable. I mean, it's got its pros and cons. At least I don't have to worry about water per se with it. And these are a little bit harder to press down because they're harder to press down in the first place. but they're kind of easier on your fingering compared to a wheel. Let's see, what else here? Well, I guess I'll kind of talk about a few videos I have in the works right now. I know I haven't released many, per se, bag or kit type of videos, and the majority of them have been either shelter, water, or fire type of kits, but I will be releasing, relatively, well, at least this year, I'm hoping, more kits. And finally, introducing my everyday carry, my EDC, my kind of hybrid everyday carry type of bag, which, could sort of call it a get home GHB type of bag. And then, I got a bug out evacuation type of bag, meant to be lighter, less capable, but more lighter so I can get more distance if I need to. And of course I have a much heavier, I'm never coming home type of bag, an inch bag, and there's some pouch kits I have to show still. A few more tins I've been working on. And of course, like I said, my EDC, which, let's just say my EDC, I actually wear it all the time. And many of the items have been very useful to me. So I'll probably cut this in about a few more minutes here. It's kind of dying down now. Of course, it's early in the morning, but I guess it is what it is. Just give me a second. I'm just gonna check to see if I got any messages or anything like that right now. Alright, anyways, I guess I'll probably end this live stream in the next 180 seconds, 3 minutes or so. So let's see. I guess I'll randomly show off something, I guess. I've shown this in a different live stream, but here's a USB type of key flash drive, braided on with the cap, Ranger band, some cordage so I can keep the lid with it. Nothing too complicated, but useful. That way I don't have to lose the lid or anything like that. Because the lid actually didn't fit over it like a cap on a pen, so I was just like, wow, I don't want to lose the lid. It's be annoying. So, it's tethered to it now. Alright, well, looks like my time is up for this live stream. So, it's time for an outro, right? Or maybe not yet. I guess Jeff's still here. I guess I won't leave quite yet. My outro's not coming up yet, but eventually it will. You know, big lighters, I know I can get them here in Walmart for like a pack of 5 for like 5.25. But in comparison to like a dollar store where you can get free generic no name brand lighters for like free for $1 or $1.25, for example. I mean, I've used dollar store lighters. I just been lucky that I've been gifted, so to speak, being able to find these lighters. And it always seems like they're always around. I just just take a look. Now you can't be certain if they're full, half empty, or almost dead, but like I said, the flint can be useful. You can make something from it that can aid in survival later on. So it's kind of the resource I pick up. Because I got a whole bunch of flints with this fire chest, so that's sitting on the top, and I keep a whole bunch of lighter type of flints. You can stick them together and kind of make a wooden flint stick. Not as good as a ferro rod, but it gives you an option for a spark method at least. Especially if the size is small for the case. Such as this one right here, which I have one in here. Well, here's another thing. Well, I was gonna leave it for another video, but I'll kind of hint on it. Anyone on the side chat or whoever's watching posts, well, once it's been processed, what do you guys think about the child safety on Bix? Now, I would ask some of you, but I know some of you don't maybe not have any Bix. To me, unless you have children nearby that can get access to it, leave the child safety on. But if you want to put them in a survival kit, or you live alone and you don't have to worry about children, or everyone's a teenager already, right? They already know, this is a lighter, not to play around with it, right? I feel like take off the child safety, lose the weight, shed that 0.1 ounce, especially if you're putting like 4 or 5 liters in a bag for to bug out with. I mean, you can save a little bit more weight, That is awesome. Man, Jeff, I like you even more. Dang. I'm so jealous. So jealous. I'm so jealous. And a little bit hot too. Oof, this wool hat is definitely warm. So, let me ask you, Jeff, real quick here, since you're still here. Do you have a bunch of solar stuff? I'm just asking you based on what you just wrote on the side chat here. Oh, that's sweet. That's sweet. Dang, I would like to meet her just to talk solar. She probably could teach me a few things or two about some solar stuff. I feel like I could talk to her about solar for like the next, well, for the next decade. Just kidding. But yeah, I could talk to her about solar for a long time. Who knows? Maybe one of these days. You know, maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one of these days there'll be a meet and greet somewhere, and hopefully I'll be there. Some of these meet and greets are kind of far to justify, flying that far. But yeah, Jeff, that's awesome to hear. That's a big thumbs up for me right there. Anything to do with solar, I'm totally game for trying to learn about. And speak of solar, since I was talking about my EDC briefly, I actually do EDCs, a solar lens. And so, I keep solar as for solar ignition as an option in all my kits. Like virtually every kit has some form of for solar ignition. Either a lens, maybe it's more of a plastic lens or something like that. That's cool, man. Cheers, Jeff. Jeez. My coffee's almost empty. Oh no. Well, on the bright side, solar, well, days are getting longer again, right? We passed by the winter solstice now, so days are getting longer, and hopefully the sun will start getting higher above the trees, and hopefully I can get back into using solar ignition. Well, not solar ignition, but harnessing solar thermal energy more again. Maybe make some more char cloth and stuff like that. I wouldn't mind doing that. And it's been a while since I cooked outside in the sun. I haven't done that in a while. I've actually distilled more water and did solar ignition or made solar char cloth or solar punk wood more. I haven't cooked in the sun in a while. I used to do that. I used to have something that's more parabolic in terms of a reflector, and I used to use that. And you used to use a bigger lens and focus it in there. Let's just say I lost that part, so I gotta come back up with something else. And of course, lately we've only getting partly sunny skies, so it's gotta be clear out in the winter for solar. At least to cook with, because you need enough time too. So. Well, I think I am going to actually wrap this up because I am getting tired and I still need to create a few things. So I want to say a special thank you to every person that's dropped in on this live stream and left comments on the live chat. And, thank you for supporting the creation process. CR greatly appreciates that. What's it called? CR is nothing without, you don't get creation without CR, but CR is nothing without someone to create for, or the reason. Sometimes a lot of these creations I show, I freely, anyone can use it or adapt it for their own selves. I like to share the knowledge as I acquire more skills and experience as I kind of do this kind of stuff. Like, anyone out there never has to thank me for, like, oh, thanks for that idea. No, you don't need to thank me. You know, shout out would be cool, and stuff like that. Or, maybe a quick, you know, I got this from CR, for example, or whatever. I'd be like, yeah, that's cool enough. That's cool enough. That's good enough type of thanks for me. So yeah, like I said, I want to say special thanks to everyone. Everyone's been so supportive of the channel for the last little bit as I come closer to the 1K mark. One of these days I'll have 1K. Hopefully soon. But, no pressure, not rushing. Quality of subscribers over quantity. The quality of the comments I get over quality. I mean, the quality of the comments over the quantity. And I also appreciate when people share my videos with, their social media. It helps a lot. The views help a lot. And of course, all the thumbs up you guys give, those big smashes of like, means a lot. So, if you've actually watched this whole live stream from the beginning, or more or less, thanks for taking the time to tune in and, well, check out what I'm doing and stuff like that. Stay tuned for more from me, of course. And I'll keep up with more videos. You can check out the playlist and videos I currently have. I have a bunch of playlists: fire, water, shelter, that kind of stuff. I'm hoping to add more into it as it goes on, as I find playlist helps, because eventually a channel has so many videos that if you're new to it, if you have playlists, it's easy for a person to check out the content, because they can just play a playlist of something that they're interested in, like fire starting, for example, or shelter making, or shelter gear. Where was I? Oh, yeah, my outro. So yes, thanks for everyone. Always appreciate everyone that comes by. So, like I said in this video, you can leave a comment down below on any questions. I'll try to answer it as the best I can. Hopefully not too complex or too long of a question, because I don't want to reply back with a full paragraph. Or if you don't want to leave a comment, you can privately message me on YouTube, send me a PM, and I'll reply back to you. Or if you've been with me for a while, and if you want to talk, not live, but one-on-one on Google Hangouts, I'm game for that. Just gotta tell me when, so I can be on for it. So, as the world changes, so must oneself. To reach a new level of skill and knowledge, one must practice. Now, a single person can't help everyone in this world, right? One person unfortunately can't help 6.6 billion people. but one person can help someone in this world. So until the next video for me, till the next live stream, always appreciating everyone that drops in and all that stuff, and from the guy that's always in creation mode, it's peace out from the guy called CR. Later everyone, and thank you. Take care.